What's up, everyone? Welcome to Stay in Philly Sports History for August 10th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition, a sunny Saturday. It's supposed to be a nice day, good day to clean up your yard. Like, if you're anything like me, it looks like mid-October out there with all the leaves that fell, and then maybe go to the pool. But I'm glad you're joining me here on a Saturday. I guess let's start with the Eagles game, and no starters due to the weather, and I think that's okay. That was a smart decision. Looking back at it now, that was a smart decision by Nick Sirianni, although I didn't really see many major injuries yesterday, which is also a good thing. Heading into the game, 60% of you said you were just looking for no injuries, so we were able to get that. The other 40% of you were looking forward to the offense. So let's start with that. And I think my biggest takeaway, especially in the first quarter, was the offense looked crisp. The offense looked different. You could see it. Obviously, they had a very vanilla game plan. However, the fact that it just looked different, I'll take. And I think any of the issues that happened last year, I think, have been resolved. We saw it in practice. We saw it yesterday. They were moving the ball with Kenny Pickett. Yeah, it was against a second-team defense, but some poorly timed penalties, some drop passes and things like that. But they moved the ball well, and I'll take that. I think our second-team offensive line, I think we're in good shape there with the depth. I will say Mekhi Becton only played the one series, but I was really looking to see what he did. Didn't get his name called, so for an offensive lineman, that's good. The star for me of the game was Will Shipley. I think it's only a matter of time before he's probably going to be the backup to Saquon Barkley over Kenny Gainwell. Although Kenny Gainwell got a lot of reps and actions early in that game, but Shipley there was just like an explosiveness out of him, and I think he's going to be a key weapon for this team this year. But overall, positive on the offensive side. No starters, so I want to see what the starting unit, and I mean the way that the second team moved the ball, I'm excited for the first team to really go. Special teams was kind of but I think that will come around. The new kickoff was just, I mean, whatever. We'll see as teams kind of learn the rules and things like that. But defensively, up and down day. I think there in the beginning, like that first drive, they did not look that well at all, but they were able to tighten it up and keep the Ravens out of the end zone. I think from a linebacking standpoint, Devin White, I thought looked well. Trotter in the second half, the kid's going to be a player, and I think we're going to find out that was a steal for the Eagles. He had a sack. Yes, it was third, fourth string guys he played against, but I got the sense of the way he was moving around the field and able to see what was going on. He's going to be all right. He's got obviously a good pedigree from his dad, and I think we're going to see. I don't think he's going to crack the starting lineup this year, at least to start the season, but he should get some playing time, and I was impressed with the way he was moving around and knew where to be. And I think last year, one of the issues we had were guys playing out of position, and to see Trotter, because obviously everybody's going to have their eyes on him, I think he's going to prove to be a steal of the draft because he was in the right spots to make plays and things like that. I didn't think Nakobe Dean played that bad. Excuse me. However, he wasn't with the ones. It was White and Bond, who Zach Bond did not have a good game. So going into the next two preseason games, or at least this week of practice, I want to see that dynamic, because can Nakobe Dean overtake Zach Bond? Because Zach Bond had at least two blown plays there in the first quarter. But rough night for him. But Dean didn't do anything to really stand out. But again, he was playing next to Trotter, and they seemed to be in position, and I'll take that. Again, I'm not looking at film or anything like that. I was just jotting down some notes as I was watching with my son. We were playing some switch golf. So I kind of was just sort of one eye on the game, one eye on golfing with him, but without breaking down film or anything like that. I thought Trotter and Dean played well. Bond had a tough time of it. And then in the secondary, Keely Ringo and Quinyon Mitchell, I was very impressed with how they played, and I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be a star in this league. And I get it. I know he was not playing starters, but that dude he should have had that interception, and Ringo played well too. So I think the future is bright for the secondary, a position that was a big weakness for us last year. I think is going to be a strength this year because Isaiah Rodgers didn't play all that bad either. Slay didn't play at all. So we have a lot of moving pieces, a lot of depth there, and some young guys. So I'm super excited with what I saw yesterday. Yes, it was preseason. Yes, it was the first game. No starters on offense played really for either team. But overall, I'm feeling positive seeing what I see because knowing the game and knowing, like, for instance, Trotter being in the right position, the way that Ringo and Mitchell were, like, just with their coverage, they had their man, but then they had an eye on the ball, like they were making plays that way. I'm excited with what I saw. I would like to see, like I said, they have the joint practice coming up this week with the Patriots, and then they play Thursday night. So I want to see, but the thing I'm watching now, I want to keep an eye on the Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond, because the team loves Zach Bond. He just did not play that well. And Dean, I don't think Dean did anything to be like, hey, he should be the starter, but he was solid and has experience with the Eagles and some of these guys he's going to be playing with. So I think that's a matchup I want to continue to monitor as training camp goes. But I'm excited for Thursday night. Hopefully we'll see some of the first team offense at least for a series or two. However, and by the way, they did win the game. Not that it matters. I did bet it, so I did win. Yes, call it a degenerate if you want, but hey, if you're giving me Eagles -1, I'll take it. And then as far as going back to the offense, I missed this, but Kenny Pickett, I think, again, if Jalen goes down, we're in trouble. However, I think if he does have to fill in for a half or even a game, depending on who they're playing, I think he's more than capable of doing that. He seemed like he was in command of the offense, playing with Johnny Wilson and the second team receivers, but I think he looked like he was in command of the offense, so I'm a little bit more confident with that going into it. But overall, I give them a solid B for the performance, specifically the defense and Will Shipley. But that leads to today's question of the day. Who was the standout of the game for you guys yesterday? Shipley, Trotter, Quinyon Mitchell, or Keely Ringo? Call 267-495-8531 to vote. Get that. Anything else? Want to break down your takes on the game? Did you see something that I didn't? But let me know, who's your standout of the game? Will Shipley, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Quinyon Mitchell, or Keely Ringo? You can also vote on social media, Jimbo_Mott at Twitter and TikTok, on Instagram at Philly Jimbo, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you can. Comment wherever you're watching or listening to this. But let me know who your standout for the Eagles game. And then leave your thoughts. If you call and leave a voicemail, leave your thoughts on it as well. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott. That's going to help us grow. Spread the word. We got a lot of good things coming up here for football season. I mentioned the 20 questions in 20 days as we preview the Eagles season. That starts on Monday. But be sure to spread the word and get your vote in for the question of the day. Who was your standout of the game? All right, Little League World Series news. Council Rock Newtown is heading to Williamsport. They beat the DC team 5-1. I was disappointed. I didn't realize it. They moved the game up. And so as we were trying to watch it, I found out they had already won. Still had a couple rain delays, but that team is good. 18-0 so far this year as they head into Williamsport. They will play Thursday night against the Texas West team from the Southwest region. Looking forward to that. And then your Philadelphia Union is moving on to the round of 16. They beat Montreal 2-0. Ty Baribeau had 2 goals for the Union last night. Not a big crowd, though. And they were talking about it. And essentially they said people were like, I'd rather go to the shore. It's raining. Eagles are playing. Phillies are playing. But in case you missed it, the Union are moving on to the round of 16. They will play Cincinnati on Tuesday in Cincinnati with a chance to go to, I guess that would be the quarterfinals or the semifinals. Either way, looking forward to that as well. Philly sports weren't done for the day yesterday. Phils suffered a loss 3-2 in walk-off fashion. Not a bad game from Zach Wheeler. He made one bad pitch, and I was reading an article and saw his interview or read his post-game quotes, and apparently he shook off JT on that pitch. The only time all game he shook him off, and it cost him with the homer. Bryce hit a homer, but Johan Rojas played solid. Could this be sort of one of those missing pieces that are coming? He went 2 for 3, had 3 solid at-bats. But it just was not meant to be. And I think take this game in a bubble, you kind of chalk it up to, it's baseball, it's one of those games. But knowing that slump is still fresh in everyone's mind, I'm sure there's going to be some people freaking out today. I'm letting you know this is one of those games. Chalk it up to being baseball. And we'll see how they come back out tonight. Aaron Nola's on the mound, 8-10 in Arizona. They're looking to, all they got to do is win one more to go 500 on this road trip. But they're looking to bounce back tonight. We need some playoff Nola tonight. And we have a new team in second place in the NL East. The New York Mutts are now 8 games behind the Phillies after the Braves lost out in Colorado. That team, you think it's bad here when we were on a slump. That team is slumping just as bad, if not worse, than the Phillies. So the Mets are our new number 2 team in the NL East. We'll see how long that lasts. But Phils, Diamondbacks tonight at 8:10. Aaron Nola goes on the mound as the Phils look to bounce back after losing in dramatic fashion. And it's a shame because they came back to tie it up in the 8th. I was half asleep when this was going on, only to lose it in the 9th with a walk-off home run. First pitch, walk-off home run. But again, it happens. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then go to Philly Goat. Get some of your back-to-school shopping done. It's that time. Whether or not we want to admit it, it's back-to-school time. Philly Goat's got your kids covered. Go check it out. They got all the sports covered. Hats, stickers, hoodies, whatever you need, they got you covered. Be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. And then don't forget, August 25th at 2 p.m., there's a watch party down at the Palladium with John Kruk as the Phillies take on the Royals. Trying to rearrange my calendar to see if I can somehow swing it, because that's going to be a good time. All right, today we are going to go back to 2008. And on this day in 2008, Phillies beat the Pirates 6-3 at Citizens Bank Park. Chase Utley hit a home run, 2 RBI. Jamie Moore went 6 innings, had 5 strikeouts, but left, losing 3-2 after his 6th inning. But then in the bottom of the 7th, Greg Dobbs, pinch hitting for Scott Eyre, doubled in Chooch, and then scored on Chase Utley's home run. For Dobbs, this was his 21st pinch hit of the year, tying Doc Miller's team record for pinch hits in a season. Dobbs would later set the Phillies team record with 22 later that season. But Dobbs was just one of those dudes who came off the bench that year for the Phillies. And really, like, everybody talks about the big guys and the pitching and Hamels and Utley, Howard, Rollins. But Greg Dobbs was one of those dudes that I don't know if the Phillies win the World Series without him. Between him and Eric Bruntlett, those two dudes off the bench were very good. Dobbs actually went 1 for 3 with a walk in the World Series. And he just, I don't know, like, just him being just that guy that Charlie Manuel could trust off the bench that year to get a hit. And it's pinch hitting is one of those things that it's tough to do, especially when you're sitting on the bench, and then all of a sudden Charlie goes, "Hey, Greg, I need you up." But on this day, back in 2008, Greg Dobbs tied the Phillies team record for pinch hits in a season, a record that he would later break. I'm not sure whether it was August or September when he broke that, but Greg Dobbs has the Phillies record now for pinch hits in a season with 22, but he tied the record in the Phillies 6-3 win over the Pirates this day in 2008. And again, another one of those unsung heroes for that 2008 team. I also want to mention another big milestone occurred on this day in Phillies history. On this day in 1981, Pete Rose broke Stan Musial's record for hits in the National League, hitting his 3,631. He would actually pass Hank Aaron for second all-time the following season, but Pete Rose broke the National League record for hits on this day in 1981 while a member of your Philadelphia Phillies. Finally today, our Philly Olympic spotlight is Megumi Field, who is an artistic swimmer formerly known as synchronized swimming from Wilmington, Delaware. She is 18 and will be attending Stanford this fall. This is actually her second Olympic Games. She was also there in 2020. She is part of the silver medal winning artistic swimming team for the United States. And if you have not seen this yet, go check it out. It's amazing. Like, first of all, synchronized or artistic swimming is one of those things that we're watching some of her. We'll get more into that later, but we're watching some of it yesterday. It's just a tough sport because you have to have good lung capacity, and holding your breath that long is one thing, but then actually doing the moves and everything, that's another thing. And then doing it in sync with your team is even another. But they did their performance that won them the silver medal. They did a lot of Michael Jackson. This is the team that did the underwater moonwalk. You got to go check this out if you haven't. YouTube it. I think NBC, the Today Show has it. But like 8 women basically upside down moonwalking in the water. It's incredible. So go check it out. But Megumi Field was a part of that. She is currently competing in the women's duet. They did the technical round yesterday. Today at 1:30, they are doing the artistic portion of it, and they are or I guess the free routine they call it, but basically the freestyle artistic where they get to do some crazy stuff. Excited to see what she has in store. They are currently in 12th, but they have potential to move up. So Megumi Field making Wilmington, Delaware proud as she is competing for gold in the women's duet in artistic swimming. She's already brought home the silver, but if you haven't done so already, go check out the underwater moonwalk. It is incredible. I can barely swim the length of the pool, and these girls are doing moonwalks. So shout out to you, Megumi Field. On this day in 2008, Phils beat the Pirates 6-3. Greg Dobbs with his 21st pinch hit of the season, tying Doc Miller's team record, a record that Dobbs would set later that season, and just played a very pivotal role for the Phillies off the bench. An important role because the Phillies don't have that guy this year. They need a Greg Dobbs off the bench this year, and I don't necessarily think they have that guy that's consistent like that. Maybe it's Weston Wilson. I don't know, but miss a guy like Greg Dobbs. But he tied the Phillies team record on this day in 2008. And then Pete Rose broke Stan Musial's record on this day in 1981 while playing for the Phillies to become the National League hit king. And we all know about Pete Rose and how he became the hit king. And we'll leave the whole rest of Pete Rose's story and debates for another time. Let me know your thoughts on the Eagles game. Who was your standout? Will Shipley, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Quinyon Mitchell, or Keely Ringo? 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get your vote in. Get anything else Philly sports related off your chest. Let me know what you're thinking. Who was your standout? I think for me it was Shipley. I think we're gonna like him in a couple weeks. Phils look to bounce back tonight in Arizona. The Mutts are in second place. Hard to believe, Harry. Go enjoy this Saturday. Clean up your yard. Rake your leaves. Whatever you need to do. Go to the pool. But have yourselves a Saturday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 10th, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery, And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.